just like vent for a second? How annoying is it when you find this company online and you're like, great, I found the person to fix my roof or something, and you send them a message, they're like, great, now I'll just wait for them to get back to me, and they don't? Why? Why do so many businesses do this? Just because you find someone online doesn't mean your customers are gonna find them online. How much of the market are they actually reaching? They see one moving box company and think, it's taken. Never mind, guys. I know it's a good idea, but no, it's taken. I can't do it. And she says, oh, Carrie, no, cancel our meeting. I found out that there's already a company in my state. In her state, not in her town, in her whole state. I'm like, girl. If you are here and you're kind of new to this concept, I'll just briefly explain what it is, okay? A moving box business is where you rent out reusable moving bins to people in your community who are moving. So maybe a home move or an office move or a college move, something like that. You deliver them right to their front door, which is a pretty nice service. It's very, very simple and easy to run business. It replaces the need of cardboard boxes and tape guns and all that jazz. And of course, it's faster, cleaner, easier for everybody to pack with. So I do coach women all across North America how to start this up in their own towns. It's what I do. So if you are curious in becoming a moving box business owner yourself, just type in the word coach and I will reach out after, okay? Today, I'm gonna walk you through 3 things that will help you actually figure out if this business could work in your town and if it's already taken. So the first thing we're going to talk about, something that most people overlook when they assume that their area is taken already. The second thing we're going to talk about is I'm going to be showing you why what you see online is not always talking about reality, okay? And the third thing we're going to discuss is we're going to break down how location and distance, it plays a much bigger role than people realize. And I know you're like, what is she talking about? I'll definitely get into everything really soon. And you're sitting there thinking, there's probably no room where I live for this type of business. Stick with me because tonight's gonna give you a lot of clarity, okay? Now, if we haven't met before, my name is Carrie. Happy that you're here with me. And before I even started my own businesses way back when, I do remember what it was like to question everything, right? And wonder if there was even space for little old Carrie to succeed in this world. Now, to date, I've been coaching for a few years now. I've helped over 120 ladies get launched in their own towns, but so many of them almost never started. They simply assumed that their area was full and there was no room for them. So I'm curious, do you feel like your town might kind of be a little bit saturated or already taken? Or do you think it's open, wide open still? Now, I'm gonna tell you a little personal story. So when I first started to look into this business, there was actually a franchise about 20 minutes away from me. And I'll be honest, for a second, it did make me pause. I do remember thinking, okay, does this mean that the area is already covered? Like, can I even compete with a competitor as big as this? So instead of just assuming that, right, I did take a step back and I really looked at everything with the proper lenses. I first looked at how big the region actually was. I thought about the population, how many people live there. I thought about how often people are moving in and out of that area. Like, is it a bustling area? Is there a lot of growth going on? Then I started to think about the logistics and delivery times and pickups and how many customers one business can realistically handle at once. And you know what? It hit me really quickly that there is just no way that this one franchise can possibly serve that entire region all by themselves. I'm sure they'd love it that way, but it's impossible. It just doesn't make sense when you actually break down the numbers. And that was kind of the moment where everything's kind of shifted for me, because I stopped thinking, well, someone's already doing this, so there's no room for me. And instead, I started realizing there must be demand here if there's a franchise here. So let's figure this out together, because I know a lot of you are sitting there thinking, okay, but what about my area, Carrie? So I'm gonna walk you through this step by step, okay? Now, before we dive in, if we can just take a second to give my little video here a love or a like. It's just a quick button. You just gotta click it. That would mean the world to me. It really helps this video reach more women who are in our group, who might be feeling a little bit stuck right now, just need someone to show them what's actually possible. So it would mean so much to me if you just hit the like button. It'd be so nice. So let me ask you something. Think about your town, your surrounding area. How many competitors do you think that you have that are within about an hour from you? I would say that most people, they tell me there's 0 Like we have a couple of wide opens here. Some people say 1, some people say 2, some people say 3. And that right there is exactly what I see in almost every single town, that it's like just a handful, if that. A lot of places aren't even there yet. Here's where we need to think a little bit differently, okay? Because, just because there's one business, even if it's a big franchise, it doesn't mean that they've got the whole area covered. Right? Because when you actually break this down, this is a logistic business. It involves deliveries and pickups. It involves some scheduling and being available for your customers, right? And one business, they can only handle so much, right? Even if they have staff, they can only handle so much. And they only have a limited amount of bins. They're gonna run out. It's not like they have like 6,000, 7,000, 10,000. Well, maybe some of them do. I don't think very many of them have more than 10,000 bins. That would be crazy to manage. But yeah, one business can only handle so much, only have so many bins, and then they run out. And they only have so much time in a day. And they might also have a limited delivery range. You'll notice when you go to these franchise websites that they have a very specific delivery area that they will focus on. And that's kind of how they make their profits. So let's look at this from a numbers perspective for a sec. So in both Canada and the United States, there's millions of people that are moving every single year. And it's like 10 to 15% of the population, they move every year. Guys, that's huge, okay? Let that sink in. 10% of the people in your hour delivery zone are moving this year. So if you think about your own town, that could be thousands of moves that are happening every single year. And so, if we're saying, are we really going to assume that 1 or 2 companies can legitimately handle all of that? Like thousands every year, right? It just doesn't add up. The math is not mathing, as the kids say it these days. And even if they're really good at what they do, usually a franchise is good at what they do. That's why they have so many locations, right? Even if they're busy, even if they've been around since the 80s. Actually, one competitor here that has been around since the 80s. I didn't make up the idea, guys. I wish I could take total, just say, yeah, it was Carrie that came up with this idea. No, it wasn't me. I copied. But yeah, there's only so much that they can physically handle. And here's the part that most people don't think about, is that customers don't wait, right? If someone is wanting to move this coming weekend and they call the franchise and they're already booked up, they don't say, okay, I guess I'm not getting my bins. They're gonna move on. They're gonna look for another company. They'll look for another option. And that's where opportunity comes in. So instead of asking yourself, is there already someone doing this? A better question to be asking is, how much can they actually handle, right? So quick question for you. Have you ever Googled something? You might have seen 1 or 2 businesses that pop up. And once you see that, do you assume, okay, these guys have got the whole market covered, right? This is kind of where I see people get this part wrong all the time. We assume that what we see online is the full picture, but I'm here to tell you it's not. So it's, just because a business exists online, it doesn't mean they're everywhere. It doesn't mean they're available. It doesn't mean they're good at marketing. It doesn't mean they're fully booked. It doesn't mean they're great at customer service. It doesn't mean their bins are clean. It doesn't mean they have a nice website. It doesn't even mean that they're actively running the business, right? And it definitely does not mean that they are serving every possible customer in your area already. In fact, there are usually a lot of gaps. So there's gaps in availability, there's gaps in service areas, there's gaps in how quickly they respond. Can we just vent for a second? How annoying is it when you find this company online and you're like, great, I found the person to fix my roof or something, and you send them a message, they're like, great, now I'll just wait for them to get back to me, and they don't? Why? Why do so many businesses do this? Or you leave voicemails and they never call you back. So just because you see all these businesses online, don't assume that they're good, okay? Because the truth is, a lot of these small businesses are not that good at marketing. They might have a website, but they're not showing up consistently. They're not posting, not doing any sort of advertising. They're not staying top of mind. And actually, I'll give you a real example of this, okay? So when I started my moving box business back in 2019, I thought there was basically nobody around me. And then about a year later, I found another company who was only about 20 minutes away. And I had no idea that they even existed. No idea, never even heard of them. And it told me everything I needed to know, that they're lousy at marketing. Because I did my research, guys. I researched and I did not find them anywhere. They were not visible. So just because you find someone online doesn't mean your customers are going to find them online, right? And here's something else. Not everybody that's running this business is doing it the same way. So some of the ladies that I've coached in the past, they're doing this on the side. They just want to make a couple bucks every month. Well, more than a couple bucks, but you know what I'm saying. They just want some fun money on the side, you know, to pay for their kids' extracurriculars, vacation travel, stuff like that. There's other ladies that are wanting to make this a full-time operation with systems and support behind them. And that creates a big difference, right, in how much of the market they can actually reach. So when you look at your area and you think to yourself, there's already someone doing this, I want you to start asking a different question, which is how much of the market are they actually reaching? Because chances are, I'm thinking it's a lot less than what you think. So I have a third point to talk to you about tonight. You know, in your town, just think about your town for a second. Do you only have 1 or 2 restaurants? Exactly. There's more. I know there's more. In fact, there's probably dozens and dozens and dozens of restaurants, right? You guys have options anytime you're hungry. There's likely also multiple realtors and multiple moving companies and multiple mortgage consultants, multiple nail salons, multiple everything, right? Because one business cannot serve an entire community. They need other people to help. But when it comes to this, people suddenly think it's different for some reason. They see one moving box company and think, it's taken. Never mind, guys. I know it's a good idea, but no, it's taken. I can't do it, right? But it's just not, it's not the way it is. It's a very local type of business. So most companies are only serving, you know, like a 30 to 60 minute radius or so. So if another business that you find is 2 hours away, don't think that they're a competitor, man. They're so far. They're not even going to come to your area anyway. They are not your competition. Your customers are wanting to book with someone local. You know, there's the whole support local movement. Whether you're in the States or Canada, it's the same thing everywhere. They want someone who's available for when they need their bins. They want someone who will show up when they need them. Even if there are 1 or 2 businesses nearby, they're still limited by their time and by their inventory and how far they can go, which means there is room for you. Okay, so am I starting to like shift your mindset a little bit? Right? Am I starting to open up your mind to think, okay, you know what, even if there's already a couple here in town, maybe it's not the end of the world. So a lot of ladies do think it's the end of the world and they abort this whole idea just like that. And I'm like, wait, you don't know the whole story yet. So let's just summarize everything we've talked about. First, we talked about that just because there's one business area in your area, even if it's a franchise, mind you, it does not mean that they can serve your entire town, okay? Secondly, what you see online is not always what's actually happening in your market. There are always gaps. There are people that are terrible at marketing, that are never answering their phone, all those things that we went through before. There's more opportunity out there than you think. So don't assume that all your competition is doing awesome and they have the whole town covered. Okay? Don't think that. And third, this is a local business, which means that distance matters. So, you know, with 1 or 2 companies, they just can't possibly cover the entire territory. I remember I had one lady, I can't remember which state she was in, it was a few months back, and she says, "Oh, Carrie, no, cancel our meeting. I found out that there's already a company in my state." In her state, not in her town, in her whole state. I'm like, girl, you can't possibly, like, you know, so that's why I do these lives, to try to help you guys make these decisions, because it's just not very reasonable. There's no way someone can cover a whole state by themselves. Do your next step so that you can kind of get some more information and make a decision based on where you're at right now. So some of you are just, like I said, just found me today on Facebook. Some of you have maybe just found me on YouTube. Others of you have been watching the videos that I can email you. Others of you have been following me for years and you're still thinking about this. But either way, I'm going to help guide you, give you the next step. But there's no pressure to do anything when we chat, okay? It's not like a high pressure sales call or anything like that. That's not my style. It's just a conversation to help you figure out if this makes sense to you. So if you want help looking in your area, talking about your situation, seeing if this plan could really work for you, just type the word plan. Okay? At the end of the day, ladies, don't count yourself out based on something that might not even be true. There's so much more opportunity out there than most people realize. And sometimes it just takes looking at things from a different perspective for a second. So if this has been on your mind for a little bit, don't ignore it. You're here for a reason. Lean into it. find out a little bit more, because a lot of you are a lot closer than you think to making a decision. And I'm so excited for you and so excited to get to know all of you eventually. But yeah, it's been great hanging out with you guys. I love how interactive you were tonight. That was awesome. I hope you can come back next week and do it again. And I'll reach out to all of you tomorrow. Okay, bye.